breaking it down. I have to charge this now because it seems like that's dying as well. So I'll be back on the mic in a few. Hold it down. Let me take this. Take that part out. Peace, peace. What's going on, family? We here. Let's do it. Let's eat. We gotta make this work out here in these YouTube streets. So please, if you don't mind, like this video. If you like me, comment, share, subscribe. So we could see you and me be on the FYP to explore, discover. Because it's a discovery, every time you on your live stream. You want to be able to see your audience. You want to be able to see what times to connect with these devices that you have at your hands. So we select the right chemistry so we can advance potentially every day. We taking chances, we take risks, we here to service the people and bring the information, as we live in real time. So we giving y'all more and more of an incline, to have that mental stability, that dedication, we gotta bring back that faith, that spirit, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, family, man. Thank you, I appreciate it. See, we've been on here and, we've been waiting. And, there goes our opportunity. So we saying this, look. We see what happened, right? Maine. Supposedly there was a self-defense case. That's what they're claiming. But, once again, it's weird with those vehicles because they're saying, I guess somebody tried to hit him. And, that's when they took him out. They laid him out. So, yeah, he's gone. He's out of here. He took it personal, I guess, what was happening in, Houston, because they had that situation that everybody was talking about. And, when he passed away, then, people were demanding answers. Yeah, because, they wanted justice. They were saying what happened in Houston, and now they're saying there was an attack again in Maine. So, that's what they're doing. The ICE agents, they had to neutralize a threat. They said somebody attacked them. They got ambushed, so. It went left, man. Those operations, I guess, people is catching on to them after this whole thing with the Supreme Court and, the passing of the birth rates and, the TSP with the Haitians. So now they are being deported en masse, and, ICE is not playing. They're very mad, that, somebody almost took him out. They had to use deadly force. So we're waiting to get the video, of course, because that's going to be, the truth. Everybody has an opinion on, their side. But I guess, when it came down to, the one guy, he can't tell his story no more, So that's why they keep trying to get these videos and body cameras. But I guess what happened in Houston was just a little bit more than, what we can account for. It seems like it may be some sort of cover up. Who knows? But as we mature, we know, we can't really speak on it enough, without having all of the details and being able to say, okay, well, this was such and such, X, Y, and Z, we know for a fact. So, we just bringing y'all the information. In real time. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna set that angle up right there. You know what I'm saying? So now we can have both, because that gives us more of an opportunity when it comes to trying to draw in the crowd and, have the audience there paying attention, because I want y'all to get these jewels. I want y'all to understand that, we can all listen and learn, and loving you is my purpose, through God and His return. So as I am on His kingdom, then I'll be working, with you guys and training, discipline. We gotta relieve some of this stress and, tension that we see is trying to grab a hold of us. It's not always the most or the easiest, road, but struggling, that's a part of the growth. I don't control nothing, so that's not possible for me to be that, you know what I'm saying? I'm just giving people the information, and, y'all not gonna look if it doesn't say, or if it doesn't look like something that's not what, it gotta catch your attention. Y'all know that already. Like, this is YouTube, you know what I'm saying? People been doing this for years, it's like, this is how you get people to listen and to understand how to be, market, and how to land, your target, because we're not just wanting to be here for, we'll be here for the future, but that's not only the only purpose. We are wanting to see and get our flowers in person and in the present time, because we know that, we're worth it, and we have, what you need to subscribe, to comment, to engage, to be uplifted and motivate, because this is, the channel to do that. And, we take advantage and we stick together, we're a group, and we support each other, because we know people need to talk and they need to have outlets to do that. So, this is what we do. We talk to you guys about the everyday, situational awareness that we bring in, because we are able to lock in and wear this badge of honor, as we clocking in, because this is our job, to teach you guys and to train you and to have you obviously updated You know what I'm saying? With the details, and not just, I don't have an opinion, I don't have a dog in a fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm neutral, like one way or the other. I tell people do what make you happy, right? Because at the end of the day, your happiness should be the biggest thing, and when you feel that way, you can understand why other people are the way they are. So you're not busy trying to contradict or take away. You're just like, hey, I'm gonna be happy, and if it's not gonna be with this or that, then I'll be alone, or I'll work with what I have at my discretion. Because apparently I'm not always gonna be letting things get to me or taking it out of context. When I'm progressing. So, we going through the motions, we learning the lessons. And, that's the best way to do it, man. To motivate and get to heaven. You want to be in that kingdom. You want to have that severance, that package. You want to see them seeds that you planted, growing, getting back into the love, and the emotions. You want to hug, you want to be able to knock down those pins. It's like bowling, you're going to catch a few strikes. When you on this YouTube game, man, people, they don't want to see you have, that mindset. So they're not brave enough to, put everything online, the way that we do and we share, because in their mind, we're crazy. They don't think that we have this planned out or this strategy to, level up and to, break these generational curses that they try to enslave me, and, they want you to be mentally, they want you to be mentally dead to where now you have to rely on them to go, well, what is right and what is wrong anymore? Like, people are split all throughout America. It's a civil war, when you see these things rising, because they're like, yo, we just watched the CEO of the healthcare. He been killing our pockets, we've been dying down here, trying to pay this and that, child support, all of this stuff. So we're anti-government now. And, when we see people like go after these figures and, just kill them and, just murder them, like as if they're not people or they have families, and then you see people cheering that on, and, they're having parties, they're celebrating death. Now it's like, okay, this might be going a little too far, guys. Where where is the discernment for these families? You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you feel how you feel, right? And you're like, yo, I'm not mad that, he did what he did, but you adding fuel to the fire when, you start to cheer this on, and it's dangerous, because it's only men that can get, those sorts of, only us, we could get those punishments, to that extent, and people will celebrate that. Like, nobody will never celebrate the death of a woman, you know what I'm saying, because that's just wrong. But a man, people will throw parties, if they didn't believe your rhetoric or, what you stood for. Like, And it's so one-sided that we see, okay, this is wrong. But people have that mentality now. It's all about that. So when it comes to,
How are you, Doc?
hey, what's going on?
You need a refill?
Oh no, I'm good. Thank
Good?
you. Yeah.
Okay.
So when it comes to the other side, the grass is not always greener, man. And people wonder why, because they thinking like they gonna clean up shop. They got it all figured out, but it's like, nah, man. If you had this role and position to play, you wouldn't be able to have my spot. You wouldn't be able to make it to the top the way that I'm dishing it out, because I done took it for so long that all I have to do is take it now. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I went about it all wrong in the beginning. I was worried about what everybody else was worried about. But the older you get, you start to witness and say, well, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for nobody else. So why should I worry about a kid, or, put myself in the position that I don't want to be in? That's just not fair. It's just like, we all need help. And, when you get ignored, or, you feel like, your call it falls on deaf ears, now you just sitting here ranting and raving on TikTok, on social media, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's not the ideal, strategy, but it could still be a form of, relief for somebody like me who doesn't have these whole lot of family or friends, or, just anybody who will listen, so that's why I go into, the facts. Why did these agents kill that man in Maine? They said he tried to attack them. But that's not what they're saying in the headlines. They're just making it seem like ICE killed another guy. Oh my God. And you know what I'm saying? They're making people get riled up. Like, they're fear mongering basically, because now they seeing people are attacking, and they want to go against and riot. You see the protests, January 6th, we got all of these things that we could provide and show, okay, what leads up to this, where people are now conspiring to go against, who was put in office to do their job. And so now, they're looking like animals, because they're just defending themselves. Like, it's too radical, that often. And now the news is, using that mind control, because this is what they want you to see. Every time you turn on the TV, it's going to be some type of conflict, some type of confrontation that they want to try to use to, make the race relations, or make, the government against the people, more, they're just making people take it more serious, and they're being more like aggressive, when you're out, when you're seeing it and you're listening, and you're like, okay, some of this stuff could be easily avoided, you know what I'm saying? But everybody's just like in survival mode, they're like life and death, this is the thing. And, they're gonna be upset if they don't get their way, and you know what I mean? It's like, we all gotta understand, it works both ways, when it comes to respect, like just engaging in real time, and not letting your mind, always take that overthinking route, and now you feeling like overwhelmed, just going outside because you're like, oh my God, are people gonna protest Target or Walmart? And it's like, man, I don't understand, what do these people have to do with the things that are happening, the incidents. It's like, yeah, it might have started here, but these people are not literally trying to, kill us because they want our money. So they're not the ones who are the problem here. You know what I mean? It's when we're looking at the laws that are in place that people are following, and they're using that to take advantage to do damage, you know what I'm saying? And now they want to have damage control to try to, cover it up. And, the people who are following it, they're seeing all the details and the truth. And, they just picking it back up and saying, hey, you guys are not being, truthful about how you're promoting and how you're, showing these actual news clips. You're trying to rally and rile people up. That's what they're doing. So, it's tough when you see all of these things, moving, it's wobbling, up and down. So you gotta try to balance it back, so you could get the right kind of thought. And then, we're just talking about it, we're living it up. So, we just seeing it the same way they saw it. And, they have their own opinion. And, we all in just trying to figure out, how we gonna navigate, moving forward and, doing this thing that we're doing. So, we're doing our homework, we're reading up, we're studying, because we know the government, they like to try to have their little movements and agendas. So, the only thing we can do is just pray. Hopefully God protect us and, keep us safe. The Lord, our Savior. We thank God, we pray to a higher power, always gonna make sure that we are, right where we need to be at. So, like, when you have that spirit, that energy, the fear is not really gonna do much. It make you angry because God has shown you the light. And, that North Star, you gotta follow it, you gotta free yourself, right? And you know that anything else besides what's, making you happy or, treating you how you're supposed to be treated is just a part of, the demise, the jealousy, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want chosen people to be in position to have power because you can fairly acknowledge and, have the knowledge to treat it with just as such. You're not gonna be a dictator, you're not gonna be like somebody who's abusing, that trust. So it's all set up, and designed for failure, man. But we understand that this is not conspiracies, and that in years to come they will reveal how all of this was really just to experiment and try to keep people, grilling each other and be, divided, so they could conquer, so they could, stop us from uniting, because when we stand up and when we unite, what I'm saying, we can never fall for the tricks, that they are designed to try to, get those clips, get those viral moments. They want to keep people's lips moving and keep your mind on they drama, so that they could prevail and continue to keep themselves relevant. You know what I'm saying? But well, and better. So you won't let them sell you no dream, because you already have the mindset that's gonna take you, whether you want to or not. You just know better. So you're not gonna stop. You're gonna make sure that you're gonna go get them. One way or another. Like, that's gonna be every day. Routine, it's mandatory, so we won't let up, we staying strong, we got the people here, we talking to y'all, and that's all we need is the audience, so that, once we got the ball, we gonna pass it off, and we gonna keep recording and keep documenting, because it's important to have, that muscle memory, that we can look back and we can rebuild and attract that traffic, so we can feel, that praise, because we worked hard on, being able to come on these stages and motivate and, dedicated, grinding, sleepless nights, you just keep on making it when it ain't no way. Like, when it seems like you're finished, you're done, and you just still living, you still going, you still hitting it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is, man. But we're gonna be out of here. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back in a little bit. Had to turn that off, because we've been live on 2 channels, so we're still getting more people to pull up. So it's lit, we got these channels and stuff. Put this stuff away. I'm hoping that we don't get caught up in the rain. That's a struggle every day out here, so we just stand. Try to get a couple more hours listen to. Almost 30 minutes in this stream right here, so we did good. This is what we hope to see in the near future. We understood how to be are the ones to keep on pushing, trying to recruit the youth, man. Gen Z, man, we got to get y'all right, man, because we failed you. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to keep making the same mistakes and having people do and listening to the same fake views, the fake lifestyle, the losers. Because they selective politicking, they pick and choose, they not with the lifestyle, the young and living, the rich and famous, they getting jealous, they get anxious, they nervous when they see the chosen like us, because they know we waiting to put the fire out, because we tired of not being able to breathe and live and have fun and just be chilling and thinking freely, moving around the way we want to, not stressing, not trying to be treated a certain way, you know what I'm saying? Got that out the way, man. Now we gotta find something to do. I would say hit that gym on. Round 2, y'all ready? Put these numbers up, my G, for real. Gonna get on that 10-hour live stream too. Gonna build it up. We chillin', man. We in that mode. We trying not to get in that rain though, because we know that's gonna be coming. So, oh no. Because we're gonna have to go for at least a 2-3 hour stream. That would be a beast right there. Just off the dome, like I wouldn't even care either, because I really don't have no other place to be but just talking to the peeps, man, and seeing what y'all got to say about these hot topics, ICE agents, Maine, Trump, FBI investigation. They really ain't giving up on this one right here. They taking that real serious. I mean, these attacks, man, sad to say, but they probably gonna have a lot more when people are getting killed and they don't have the means to figure out what happened, or how you say what was the footage show, if it has a whole nother side that we really can't partake or put a finger on it. That's what we like. We really gotta understand, man, what's going on with those games, they playing. It's like one day is another thing, every day is something new, man. Like, it never fails, they just find a way, don't they, to paint that narrative and get, those pictures to get some type of reactions. They want to see people lose their mind, or have these reserved agendas, these ideas, these manifestations, out there. We see people playing and leading, and they making and committing treason on, society and, the people that believe in, how they living. We got a variety that we give and, we get into it, man. That's you were going all day. What's going on? So I know over 5 hours, putting in shit. And Caroline, whoa. Anh trai hông hông. Say mới nhá. Sweet girl. Picture. Bodies. Roundhouse. Right in the temple. Hold on, so now that's gonna be an issue. So, okay, right here. Too deep. Just going on here. Check it out. Tap tap, mama, tap tap. Yeah. Make it live stream movies over here, dog. HD. You know what I'm saying? I got the 3D, 5G. All of it, man. Live streams. Kicking it right here. This is how you envision and put these inventions in. So living that life. Citizen. Life around. See. 50. Gonna be living it up. Gee. That's the advantage of being Christian. God is always going to have the foundation, for you to follow. The program. You just got to study. You got to take the right steps. You know what I'm saying? Swallow the pride. And let your ego, you know what I'm saying, die. Let it die. Survive and be able to reload, live another day as you arrive. And you pay attention to the said snakes, our allies, our best friends, our worst enemy, our best days. It's always going to depend on how we let things take its course. Sometimes you gotta let that dirt get that dirt up the shoulder. You gotta let it roll off. You know, so you can get on and afford to put on the performance of a superstar. And don't let your mind destroy what your body has worked so hard to design and to rally up the divine, the anointed, the ones that want to shine. Reloading the joints and we remind ourselves that we got to avoid the dangers of the self. Dysmorphia. Strangers will give you more credit and more positive settings when it comes to yourself, because you'll get upset and you'll self-destruct when you help and be able to have those choices and tell yourself the truth without getting too egotistical and being misused and misled or abused, led to the wolves and the fire and the fuel. So, we out here, man, that's what we do, man. We're keeping it all
let's go. Oh my god, I'm depressed. I hate my life. Hello.
More here with me. Okay.
How much you ask?
Stuff like that.